Welcome to episode 1 of my SaBADDIEcal series. My name is Jess the princess. I'm 28 years old. I'm from Wisconsin. If you want to find me on any social media, you can find me at Jess the Princess XO on pretty much everything. But yeah, so why did I take my SaBADDIEcal, you ask? Because I'm a baddie in desperate need of a break. I was on the verge of a mental breakdown. I don't even know if I could really say on the verge when I quit my job and went out of the country for 3 weeks. I even accidentally booked the start of my trip on the first day of Mercury retrograde. And I didn't book a flight back yet at that time, so I finally decided when I realized I would be gone from the start, I might as well do the entirety of my SaBADDIEcal trip on Mercury retrograde. If my trip was going to start with Mercury retrograde, I wanted it to end with it as well, because I really wanted whatever lessons I learned to stick. Mercury retrograde, this last one, ended August 11th, and I booked my trip back home for the 12th. I went to 3 different countries. First Iceland, then England, then Germany. I've never been to Iceland or England before, and I've been to Germany about 10 years ago. Probably wondering why a sexy little thing like me was going crazy and needed to book a trip all on her own. Bitch, you serious? Well, I was overworked, overwhelmed, and just over it. I was a restaurant manager at a pretty popular spot here in Milwaukee, and it just became too much. I'm a really hard worker, and it's something that I really pride myself on. I always want to improve, and when I make a mistake, I want to learn what I did wrong so that way I can do it better the next time. Kind of a perfectionist in that way. I procrastinate a lot because I want something to be absolutely perfect when I do execute it. Things just got really hard at the restaurant, and they got harder and harder and harder. And I really tried to keep up, but ultimately it was just outside of my capabilities. I have Crohn's disease, I have hidradenitis suppurativa, and I'm pretty sure I have arthritis connected to the Crohn's disease. I have a family history of fibromyalgia. I am in constant pain, whether from my tummy, not as much from my skin anymore, thank God. I have joint pain pretty terribly, and chronic fatigue issues. I've just got a lot wrong with me physically and mentally. So already I have a pretty hard time existing, and then adding a high stress, fast-paced, never-ending show for lack of a better term. It just made me feel like I was living in Groundhog Day. Like I felt like I was on autopilot for the last 3 months that I was there. The main reason I got the job was because I wanted to wear cute little outfits and makeup and have fun with people. I really enjoy the performance of being a good host, being a good server. I really just love getting to know people and having fun. I love a good bit. I love joking around. Honestly, girl, the tips reflected my performance. But toward the end of my employment there, I was just so drained I couldn't even put on makeup. And for me, bare basic makeup is contour, mascara, and eyebrows. I couldn't even do that. That takes like 5 to 10 minutes depending on how lazy and sloppy I'm doing it. I was breaking out terribly. I would have pimples that wouldn't go away for like 2-3 weeks, and I would have like super scabby ones. I'd have ones that were just like super deep that even like the patches wouldn't work on. I looked like a zombie on meth. Like I looked insane. It was shortly after my Saturn return in Aries on May 24th that I just felt like the leash I was on was getting tighter and tighter. I just felt like I was suffocating. I would ask for help and different accommodations to be able to continue doing my work, and it just kind of fell on deaf ears. I was already planning a trip to go to Greece in the fall, and I couldn't wait any longer. I needed to go. I needed to go now. I've really been wanting to see an old-time friend. She was my foreign exchange student when we were in high school. And that was like 10, 11 years ago. And we haven't seen each other for that long. We've been keeping in contact, you know, touch and go sometimes. Sometimes for like months at a time, we talk every single day. Sometimes we wouldn't talk for months on end. It just kind of, you know, life, it gets in the way of things. And we'd been talking a lot more frequently, and I looked at flights, and it was like $650 round trip to go to Berlin. And I asked her if she would want to meet up again, and she said yes, so I just kind of started booking stuff. All the flights to Berlin that I saw, there was a layover in Iceland, and I've always wanted to go to Iceland, so I decided just to book my flight to Iceland and then I would book more from there, which was foolish in hindsight. If you book through Iceland Air, I don't think it really matters where you book. If there's a layover in Iceland, you can extend your stay, I think by a couple days. I don't know, because I didn't do that. And if I would have done that, I probably would have saved a lot of money. And that's okay. That's okay. We're all learning. We're all on a journey. You know what I mean? We're all on a journey of self-discovery. So it's fine. It's fine. We discovered new things along the way. I thought London would be fun too. And I booked that. Thank God that my friend said something about that being a lot of travel and I'm only going to be gone for a few weeks. I should really pace myself. And I'm glad that she said something, because I was thinking about also like going to Paris and Brussels and like blah blah blah, and I was just like, oh my god, like with the trip that I did so far, only really visiting 3 cities, I was so exhausted. I really wish I would have spent more time in each country to fully explore and understand the culture. Like my trip was like the tapas version of travel, and like girl, now I want like 5-course meal. Like I want the full thing. But yeah, I realized when I was planning this trip, I was planning it like I was never going to leave the country again. The planning was so panicked and rushed. I wasn't really strategic as much as I would like. And really that's because I was in survival mode. I didn't know when I would have a break to have fun again. When I was preparing for the trip, I was really getting my work ready for my departure. Like the weekend before I left, I went up and visited my family up north. When I really just wanted to like stay home and just like appreciate my apartment instead of like packing up a spend the night bag to spend time with my family, who I do love. I'm not going to get into that right now. I recorded some of that too, which maybe if you guys are interested, I'll show you some of that as well as like a behind the scenes thing. I really didn't give myself the chance to appreciate how massive of a jump that I was taking, because I was still too worried about other people. And like also with that, because I felt like I was unfulfilled and just walking through life, I was treating this trip as an achievement rather than a true journey. Not necessarily saying this that I wanted to do it just to say that I did it. That's not the case, but I wasn't truly appreciating the true experience, the completeness of it. You know what I mean? I was pushing myself again, like I always do. I keep going until I have no choice to stop. And I get resentful and angry, and I really have no one to be angry at other than myself, because I didn't advocate for myself. And especially when you have chronic illnesses, when you have such like massive deep fatigue, you need to rest. All this to say, this trip was the most eye-opening, life-changing, self-affirming thing I have ever done for myself. It made me realize so much about myself, my patterns, my habits, my relationships to others. Like Mercury retrograde really grabbed me by the hair, looked me in the face and was like, are you ready? Are you ready? Because everything's changing and it'll never be the same. And like, thank God that it happened. I feel so proud of myself and so confident now in myself in a totally different way. I know that I can do anything that I put my mind to. Like, I need every person on the entire planet, please take a solo trip yourself. It is so worth it. You will discover so much about yourself, and it's truly way easier than you think. And that's why I've documented this entire thing. I may have done a bang up job because this is my first ever series, so forgive me. You should travel on your own. You should explore while you can, while you are physically able to, if you have the finances. Because a lot of times, just like start researching where you want to go. Figure out peak seasons. Figure out when would be the best time to start booking, because you can find really cheap flights. If you do like the flight tracking and things like that, you can find ways to travel on a budget and it be realistic, okay? And like also with that, modify it to what you need. If you are chronically ill and you need time to rest, modify it. Who cares? Especially if you're on a solo trip, who cares? You're the only one that is planning it. If you want to go to the hotel and take a little nap for a little bit, who's gonna stop you? Anyways, I'm gonna start the actual episode because if I don't, I'm literally going to keep talking for forever. So yeah, cut to the hospital. So every single month, every 4 weeks, I get an infusion treatment for my Crohn's and my hidradenitis. It is an IV treatment that is infliximab, or Remicade is like the name brand. And so I booked my flight about 12 hours after my treatment because I wanted to get as much time as possible while traveling. Here's my day starting at 9 a.m. in Milwaukee and then getting on the plane to head toward Reykjavik at 9:30 at night. Mimi. I came like 10-15 minutes early, which is kind of unheard of for me. Usually I'm like right on time. I just wanted to get this over with so that way I could get more of the stuff I need to do done. I need to get lunch. I need to go to nail supply so that way I can touch up my nails. I need to get my pedicure and just do like a bunch of running around kind of stuff. I'm gonna eat my little brekkie. I packed some hard-boiled eggs. I packed cherries and a protein shake, and I packed a Celsius for when I actually leave, and I have water, obviously. I forgot my blanket at home. So I needed to clear my car, and I took out my car blanket. So I don't have a car blanket in there right now. So I'm a little chilly right now. It's officially less than 12 hours before I leave. I hop on the plane, so it feels really crazy. I'm a little anxious, and all I can do is kind of just sit here until then I can escape. I've escaped. We are on the loose. At the nail salon, getting my pedicure with this fancy little massage chair, at least I thought. Sorry to cut back to me with no makeup. This is like a couple days after I filmed the intro. But I just wanted to say that chop shop, bro, what is it with me going to get pedicures? And I swear to God, every single time I'm walking out with my big toe, like at least a centimeter difference of like length. And I even told the girl, I was like, I don't want you shaping. I literally just want you like polishing, because I already shaped it myself, because I keep going to get a pedicure done and then they up my toes. She shapes my nails anyways, and this is my fault because I should have said something. And that she literally got out like one of those tools and she was like digging in my left toe, bro. Like my left big toe, and I literally, it like hurt to walk on after. Dog, you mutilated my toe. Never going there again. Anyways, back to the video. Here's me touching up my manicure and trying to relax. I'm listening to Diana Lopez. If you know, you know. I leave in like 30 minutes to head to the airport, and I don't know, I'm just feeling really a little sentimental. I worked really hard, really hard to get to the place that I am. I have a home that is so beautiful and comfortable. that I literally hate leaving. I'm so excited for this opportunity to like rediscover myself, but I'm also sad to be leaving my home and my like comfortability. And here is my home I'm gonna miss so much. I love it. I think I've decorated it so cutely, and I've actually already like moved things around already, so it doesn't even look like this anymore. At least for my bedroom. The rest of it looks pretty similar. I didn't even record my office because I did a huge redo of my office when I got home. But yeah, here's me falling into bed. I'm gonna miss my bed so much. We are on the way to the airport, and here's a little snippet from the music we're listening to. No! Bags are checked, went through security, no issues. Now sitting by my gate, just kind of hanging out for like an hour or two. I know a lot of people have anxiety about flying, but I don't really get it. If it's like an older plane or something, I guess, but if I'm gonna die, I feel like it's already been decided how, and I don't really feel like it's a plane. Not really for me to know, but for me to find out. There was a story about a pilot coming in over the intercoms of his plane, just explaining how sorry he is for almost colliding with another plane in the week before. And then my favorite true crime podcast posted an episode about a plane bombing the same day I was flying out, but I wasn't gonna let that scare me. I've never been afraid of flying, and it wasn't gonna start now. Obviously, as you see, we take off and everything's fine. The flight goes perfectly, but I was sat next to these two little old ladies that decided to raw dog a 6-hour flight. I think they thought they were going to sleep the entire way, but they didn't bring any neck pillows and were just like complaining the entire time. Right away when we get on the plane, there's a crying baby, and they're like, oh, I was really hoping to sleep. Girl, it's like a stereotype when you are on a plane, you are going to hear a crying baby. So I don't know where in your 70 to 85 years that you missed out on that joke. All you need to solve a crying baby is $10 headphones from Dollar General. It annoys me to no end in the modern age when people complain about babies crying, because there's a very easy way to solve it. Also, it's not about you. Like, you know what I mean? On a plane, you are not the main character. If you're upset about a crying baby, it's because you are not prepared. Period. Then for maybe like 30 minutes, they decide to watch the free ads on the Iceland Air little TVs, even though that there are like TVs and movies that you can watch after you get through like the first 2 minutes of ads. They had books, so I don't know why they didn't just turn on their lights and read. Obviously, watching ads got boring, so they tried to go to sleep. And then these ladies trying to get comfortable, they just kept trying to like lean forward and put their head like on the headrest in front of them. But because of the screen, it kept turning on and like flashing in their face. And then they would get like annoyed and frustrated. Then they finally figured out that if they put their jackets between their face and the screen, that it would stop turning on.
Clever girl.
And yeah, I don't think any of us got a wink of sleep. I think I slept like in that like in-between state for maybe like 30 minutes. I listened to 3 episodes, I think, of my Sleepy Time podcast, and I dozed off a little bit, but I really did not sleep. Here's me in hour 4 of the flight. So cute. We've arrived to Iceland. You can see some of the coastline peeking out in a bit. Genuinely so majestic and so beautiful. Thank you for watching the first episode of my SaBADDIEcal series. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my silly little self. Please drop a comment and subscribe so you can keep up with me and my silly little adventures. I plan on dropping YouTube videos 2 times a week, so every Monday and every Thursday you'll see something. Make sure to tune back in so that way you can see what I'm up to. The next episode you'll see my first day in Iceland, in which I immediately get lost and everything goes completely wrong. I will see you soon. Love you. Talk to you soon. Bye!